So, the 25th anniversary, right? The big one, the Silver Jubilee. It is a massive milestone, and it calls for a gift that has some real meaning, some real weight to it. But have you ever bought a beautiful silver gift only to watch it turn into this peeling, fleeky mess just a year later? Well, today we're going to get into exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how you can find a gift that'll actually last long enough to see the 50th. And this really is the big question, isn't it? You spend good money on something that's supposed to symbolize endurance, and it just disintegrates. It's so frustrating. But here's the thing, it's not just bad luck. It's actually kind of by design. The answer is all about a huge and, honestly, a pretty disappointing shift in how these things are made today.
And wow, this quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? I mean, a bad sunburn? What a terrible image for a gift that's celebrating a marriage that's lasted. This isn't just about a little tarnish you can polish off. No, this is a total catastrophic failure of the product itself. It's a temporary object for a permanent milestone.
All right, so let's dig into the specifics of this modern mistake. You know how it is. You're in a nice store, you see a shiny object with a silver plate sticker, and you think you're buying quality. But what you're often getting is something else entirely, all thanks to some sneaky modern manufacturing shortcuts.
Now here's the real kicker. The thing that fails isn't actually the thin layer of silver on top. The real problem, the weak link in the chain, is the foundation it's built on. The quality, the durability, the longevity of a silver-plated item, it all comes down to the base metal that's hidden underneath that shiny surface.
And that right there brings us to the heart of the matter, the huge, huge difference between old-school craftsmanship and new-school production. So let's pull back the curtain and uncover the manufacturing secrets that separate a true heirloom from, well, something that barely makes it through the first year. Okay, just take a look at this. It lays it all out, plain and simple. On the left, you've got vintage silver plate. It's built on a heavy base of nickel silver with a thick, repairable layer of actual silver. On the right, you've got modern silver-tone gifts. They're often made with a cheap zinc alloy, a paper-thin decorative coating, and are basically disposable. The difference? Well, it's night and day.
So the absolute biggest difference is that base metal. Vintage pieces use something called nickel silver. It's a tough, heavy alloy that gives the silver a super stable foundation. Modern stuff, though, often uses something called pot metal. And it sounds cheap because it is. It's this porous zinc alloy that's lightweight, it's reactive, and it is just about the worst possible base for a finish that's meant to last.
And this brings us to problem number 2. The silver layer itself. On vintage items, you have a thick structural bond of silver that you can literally polish for decades. Modern pieces? You're looking at a microscopic flash coating that's just for looks, and it's often sealed with a clear lacquer. The second that lacquer gets a chip or a scratch, air gets underneath, the pot metal underneath starts to oxidize, and the whole thing just bubbles and peels away. It's toast. You can't fix it. Game over.
You gotta love this piece of advice from the source. It's so simple, but so effective. Weight is your #1 dead simple indicator of quality. That heft tells you the piece is built on a solid, quality foundation that can handle a lifetime of use. If it feels flimsy, if it feels light enough to toss around like a frisbee, just put it back on the shelf. All right, enough doom and gloom about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. Instead of getting mesmerized by a temporary shine, the key is to look for substance. And that is where vintage silver comes in, as the clear, obvious winner for a truly meaningful anniversary gift.
I mean, think about this for a second. When you buy a vintage silver-plated piece from, say, the 1940s or 50s, you're buying an object that has a proven track record. It is already proven that it can endure. It's not a gamble. Its quality has already been tested by time itself.
You know, there's a symbolic power here too. A 25th anniversary is a significant, weighty milestone. The gift should reflect that. Handing someone a heavy, ornate piece of history, it says their relationship has that same kind of substance, that same endurance. It has, well, gravity.
This metaphor is just perfect. You know the difference between a real, firm handshake and one of those limp, fishy ones? That's exactly what we're talking about here. A vintage piece has that firm, confident feel of quality. It's substantial. A modern, lightweight piece is all surface level, it's all show with nothing to back it up.
Okay, so you're sold on vintage. But how in the world do you actually find these quality pieces? Let's get practical. This next section is your buyer's guide. Everything you need to know to spot the good stuff and avoid the junk. Here are 5 straightforward steps. First,
Feel the weight. Easy. Second, hunt for maker's marks from reputable names. Third, if it says tarnish-free, run. That just means it's coated in plastic that's going to fail. Fourth, look for marks that tell you the base metal, like EPNS. And finally, number 5, don't be afraid of tarnish. Seriously, it's a good sign. It means the silver is real and it can always be polished. A peel and finish, though, that's a fatal flaw.
Okay, let's talk about that acronym I just mentioned, EPNS. When you see this stamped on the back of a piece, it stands for electroplated nickel silver. This is basically your seal of approval. It's like a secret code that tells you the item has that strong, heavy, non-reactive base metal we were talking about. The perfect foundation for quality silver plating.
Whew, okay, that was a lot. So let's do a quick recap, a final polish, if you will, on the most important things to remember from all this.
Here are the 4 key takeaways. Number 1, heft is quality. If it's light, just leave it. Number 2, tarnish is your friend. It proves the silver is real and not sealed in plastic. Number 3, look for those hallmarks of quality, like EPNS. And number 4, a vintage piece just has a story, a substance that a new, mass-produced item simply can't compete with. And really, at the end of the day, it all boils down to this. A milestone like a 25th anniversary deserves more than a disposable object that's destined for the bargain bin. It deserves something with real craftsmanship, built with materials designed to last, just like the marriage it's celebrating. So the next time you're choosing a gift for a major milestone, I want you to ask yourself this question. Will it be a peeling, sad relic of modern manufacturing? Or will it be a beautiful, enduring piece of history, still on the table, still telling a story of quality and endurance? The choice is yours.